Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on our YouTube channel for episode number 847. Well, today we are going to be talking music with an FFA proficiency winner. An interesting interview with a young man named Cody Collins, who is now majoring in music education at Quincy University in Illinois. He's going to be able to talk to us all about relating FFA to so many other things as a non-traditional FFA student. We're going to start that for you right now. Joining me today is Cody Collins, and he is coming to us from Quincy University, where he is studying music education. He's a former chapter vice president at Pittsfield High School in Illinois. And welcome to the show, Cody. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, glad to be here.
Hey, well, I'm looking forward to speaking with you. I think you're the first music education major I've ever interviewed on the show, so I'm sure I'm going to have questions about that for you.
Yeah. It's sometimes it can be quite a jump from ag, but,
It can be, but I don't know. Everything's connected one way or another, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's do this.
Sure.
I'd love to ask you just about you so our audience can get to know who they're listening to. Would that be all right with you?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Well, how old are you now?
I'm 18.
Okay. Now, when you're not at school, when you're at home, are you on a farm, are you in a town, or something kind of in between those two?
No, I don't live on a farm. I live in town. It's a very rural community, so there's a lot of farms around, but I live in town.
Okay. Now, how long have you been part of the FFA?
I was part of FFA all 4 years I was in high school. I was pushed to join it by my sister, who was a couple years older than I am. Other than that, I didn't have any prior connections to it, and I kind of took a leap in joining it, and I'm really glad I did.
Well, that was going to be my next question is why did you join, but your sister was motivating you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
And that begs the question then, why did she join?
I think somebody probably pushed her into joining it.
Okay.
Because, neither she or I had any connections to the ag program at our high school.
Okay.
So she took the initial leap into joining, and she had a wonderful time as part of the chapter. And so I took the initiative to join as well, and I just kind of went all out with it all 4 years and had a wonderful time in the chapter.
That's awesome. Now, that is a really interesting situation. So you didn't have any connections to agriculture, but you joined this group that obviously is agriculturally focused. And so how does that go for you? Do you all of a sudden develop an interest in agriculture, or is it just so fun to be part of this group that learning about ag is a fine thing to do to be part of it? Or explain that part.
Yeah, there was definitely a bit of a learning curve to it. Because even though we were in such an ag-based community, I had no idea about a bunch of basic stuff, like, the difference between a combine and a tractor. I had no clue, that kind of stuff. And even now, sometimes I feel a little ignorant when I talk about ag because I don't have that understanding that a lot of people have. But it was a lot of fun being able to develop a passion for this industry that welcomed me with open arms, even though I was, like I said, so ignorant about it. And so it was a lot of fun learning about ag. And a lot of fun being able to jump right in and be accepted, even though I, didn't have the background that a lot of people had.
Oh, very cool. Now, you said that during that 4 years, you just kind of went crazy and took advantage of everything that was there to offer.
Yeah,
what are some of the things you did?
Yes.
What did you do?
So I tried almost every single CDE at least once to see if I liked it, whether it was judging or different competitions. I tended to do much better in the public speaking kind of CDEs and my SAE, and I did a lot better in those than I did like forestry or agronomy and those kinds of things. And so through FFA, I was able to develop public speaking abilities that have been helping me ever since. I was so nervous to talk in front of people, but because of FFA, I was able to develop.
Okay. Now, did this lead you to a proficiency award or something to that effect during your time in high school?
Yeah. So my brother, who's probably 7 years older than I am, he worked part-time at McDonald's, and I needed to get a job, so I decided to get a part-time job at McDonald's.
Okay.
That would become my SAE. And then I worked at McDonald's for a couple of years, and then I switched over to a pizza place, and that was my SAE, food service.
Okay, interesting. And you wound up with, a state proficiency award in Illinois on that? Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I won at the state level, and sadly I wasn't able to compete at the national level because there is no national food service competition. It ended at the state, so I took it as far as I could.
Okay.
Sadly, I could not compete at the national level, which would have been amazing, though.
Yeah. Interesting. So that's an Illinois thing, is the food service. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And I think some other states also have that, but not. I don't think it's not a national thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I know along the way that you probably had one. I know you had at least one, but maybe even more FFA advisors that kind of helped you out. Could you let everybody know who those people were for you?
Who my like the role models that I look to in FFA?
Well, your FFA advisors. We always like to acknowledge our FFA
advisors.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my main one was obviously the advisor that I had in high school, Jody Huebner. She was a crazy influence for everyone in the chapter. She had such this amazing way of being able to communicate her ideas and be able to teach you things that you can apply outside of the classroom. And so, more often than not, I'm thinking about something she's told me before. And as I go and I want to be a teacher in the future, I think of everything she told me, and it's it's so useful for me to be able to think about. Another one was a student teacher I had when I was a sophomore. Her name was Casey Lynn Johnson, and she, although she hadn't been teaching yet as a student teacher, she was absolutely amazing and knew exactly how to get hands-on with the students. And I know that the chapter she's with now is absolutely lucky to have her.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for acknowledging those folks, Cody. I want to take a moment and acknowledge a couple of our great sponsors here, everybody. Of course, I'm just so thrilled to be partnered with Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them at lacrossefootwear.com. But I'll tell you what, I just came in from feeding. Cody and I are talking right here in the first thing in the morning for me here in Idaho, and I had my lacrosse boots on, and it's just amazing to me every single day of the year, whether I'm irrigating, whether it's frozen outside like this morning, whether it's muddy like it will be later this afternoon. I've got these great boots on. My feet are warm, they're comfortable, they are dry. I've got traction, and just feel so secure working in these boots. I use the Alpha Range boots. There is a wide selection of rubber boots built for every aspect of what you need to do on your farm. Even if you're going out hunting, sitting in a tree stand, whatever it may be, there's great boots there. We hope you'll check them out at lacrossefootwear.com. And always love to mention during our FFA episodes, Lacrosse Footwear is a proud sponsor, proud to support the FFA by annually sponsoring 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. So please check them out, everybody, at lacrossefootwear.com. And, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. What else can I say? I've known this brand my whole life. So proud to use them on my farm. So proud that they have been a supporter of the show for so long now. And I tell you what, anytime I've got to run a cow in, I do it with confidence in our Powder River squeeze chute that we have here on our farm. I upgraded all my panels years ago to Powder River panels because they're truly the only ones that, as far as I can tell, the only ones that have been built with the cattle raiser, the cattle rancher, the cattle farmer in mind, because those cows cannot get their heads through those rails, and they cannot bend up those panels. Really, really love them. So we hope you'll check them out as well. Let your local farm and ranch retailer know that you'd like to have Powder River in their yard, so you can buy that great green livestock handling equipment. You can check them out at powderriver.com. All right, well, Cody, so you brought up your SAE, food service, and so this is an interesting one, because as I've been interviewing students from Illinois, I've been learning more about this, and so this is relatively new to me as well. So you started at McDonald's, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
So, I've always talked about working at McDonald's. I personally worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was in high school. So I was not at McDonald's. So when you start at McDonald's, how do you start? Is it flipping burger patties, or is it right up front?
So they, for me, they knew where to start me because my brother had worked there, and my sister had also worked there. It was kind of like a family tradition, I guess, when you're 15 to get a job at McDonald's. Just so you have that paycheck. So they kind of knew me already, and they knew that I was more, they thought I was more suited to work front counter.
Okay.
So I was working in the restaurant, talking to customers, and eventually would move to drive-through. But, as time goes on, you kind of move all around the store, and I eventually would end up doing everything.
Okay.
So it's kind of only a matter of time until you really got your hands everywhere in the restaurant.
Now, there seems, in our society, there seems to be kind of a colloquialism and it seems to be a bit of a pejorative where people say, well, you can always go work at McDonald's. So when you hear somebody say that, what do you think? Do you go, hey, I liked working at McDonald's?
Well, sometimes I have mixed feelings thinking about when I was working at McDonald's. Because, it's obviously not like a high luxury job, but it builds a lot of character. And I think that everyone in high school that has a vehicle should have a job of some sort because of how much you can learn from it. So I don't think that there should be a negative view towards working in fast food or in a restaurant kind of setting. But because it's up to the people where they want to be or, their situations they might be in. But I do kind of understand that, people can get frustrated with McDonald's and can put it into that mindset of it being, just some fallback job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's almost like the safety net. Like I can always, people are always going to be going to McDonald's. There's always a job at McDonald's. Yeah. So how did you tie this in with agriculture? So what was the connection that you drew to be able to fill out your book and get that state proficiency award?
So at times it was kind of hard for me to really make the connection between working in a restaurant and agriculture, which I know sounds, kind of obvious, but to me, even just working there, it didn't fit my perspective of what agriculture was at the time. I thought that, working with cattle or working with hogs, that'd be kind of what your typical SAE, what you're working with agriculture would be. But I just didn't realize that I was working in the final stage of agriculture where you're actually giving the consumer the food. And I think there's a lot of people that don't see restaurants as an agriculture job. They just see it as somewhere to go eat. Looking back, it's easy to see it. And my perspective obviously changed, but it was easy to lose sight, especially because I was working at McDonald's and I was, kind of more focused on trying to get through my shift. So, there was also a bit of learning curve with that.
I live out in Idaho, and we've got this tie to McDonald's. So one of the probably most famous business person to come out of Idaho is J.R. Simplot, and Simplot, all the different agricultural industry that they are involved in. But the famous story goes back to when he got the contract to provide French fries, obviously Idaho potatoes, to McDonald's restaurants, and what that did for his business enterprise. And so there's definitely a relationship there. It's food, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you approached your supervisor there and said, "Hey, I've got to do this SAE project, and I'm going to need X, Y, and Z from you for my FFA advisor," what did they think about that? Was that something new for them?
I think that there had been maybe a couple of people who had worked at restaurants and connected it, so it was very easy. Because if you moved to a different restaurant, if you worked at a different restaurant, it was really easy for you to be able to keep the same SAE and you wouldn't have to change a ton. There was also people that worked at County Market, a local grocery store, and it was kind of similar, working a part-time job and you're working. And so it was easy to connect it. So she was very supportive of it, and she really helped me be able to develop it, especially when I moved restaurants. Okay.
Now, I've got to ask, your favorite McDonald's item to eat? What is it?
I always think that you can't go wrong with a quarter pounder with cheese.
Okay.
McDonald's gets a lot of a bad rep, but I think the quarter pounder with cheese is very delicious.
Okay.
That and a good old McFlurry when the ice cream machine is working.
All right.
Which is surprisingly not very often. Even you hear the jokes that even when you're working there, it rates a lot more than you think.
Yeah. Huh, interesting. I never get those, so I don't know. But I'm just happy the whatever it takes to make the Big Mac doesn't get broken. That makes me happy right there. Well, let's talk about music. So you've got this very interesting major of music education. How long have you been involved in making music?
So I play the trumpet as my main instrument. Okay. And I've been playing the trumpet since I was in 5th grade, so it's been about, I think, 8-9 years now, something like that I've been playing. And when I decided to go into music education, I took up piano, so I've been learning piano, and I also started to sing in the choir. So I've been kind of, trying to develop all sides of it.
Okay.
My interest in music education kind of spurred at the end of my senior year when I had to, firmly make a decision, because I always wanted to do education.
Mm-hmm.
So I bounced around between history, music education, and I looked a lot into ag education.
Okay.
For quite a while.
So you knew that you wanted to be a teacher, you wanted to be back in the school
Mm-hmm.
setting, and it was just a matter of picking what you wanted to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. I wanted to be in a high school.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what I wanted to do is I wanted to spend my whole life going to school to get a degree so I can go back to school.
Okay. Well, those are three unbelievably interesting areas to focus, in my opinion: agriculture, history, and music. How did you land on music?
So for me, I had to. It was hard to choose music because the main thing that wanted to stop me from doing that was the fear of programs getting cut. Because you know that in small schools, the first things to go are the extracurricular. So my biggest fear was losing something like that. But then I thought about the music program that we have in our high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that has stayed, even if funds were to, go away, is because of the amazing job that the teacher does and how involved the students are. So the students themselves would not allow it to go because they would essentially fight the system to try to keep it.
Okay.
And so I realized that it's about how it is about the funds, but it's also about how strong you can make your program. Mm-hmm. And I take a lot of ideas like that from Mrs. Huebner and her work with our FFA chapter, because I know for a fact that won't leave either because of how amazing of a job she does and how involved the students are.
That is interesting. So as you're going through a music education degree and you're preparing to be a music teacher,
mm-hmm.
like you said, you just started last semester learning piano. Is that because you've always wanted to learn piano, or is that because you need to take this class and learn about piano because there may be a student in your future that you need to be able to teach?
Yeah. It's a little bit of both. So my degree requires me to do what's called a proficiency, which is basically that I can play a certain amount of things on the piano.
Okay.
For judges, which are the music faculty. But I feel like I should have, even if that wasn't required, I would still need to take piano because of how important that is to music, because
mm-hmm.
everything is focused around the piano.
Okay.
And that's how, if you didn't know, different instruments read music differently. And the way that we talk about music is concert pitch, which is on piano. So piano is like the central focal point of everything.
Okay. Interesting. No, I did not know that. I would love to be musical. I struggle. So mm-hmm. that is interesting. Okay, so piano
it takes years of trying to develop your musical thing, and even still, it's hard for me to keep with music sometimes because of how demanding and how confusing it can be, because there's a bunch of different terms that mean the same thing, or same terms that mean different things.
Yeah. Now, you started last semester studying piano. So how many, I guess, I don't know, if you're in college, I don't know if we call it a lesson, I guess, how many classes do you have per week, or how much time do you have per week with an instructor, then how much time do you have per week that you're actually practicing?
So I have a half-hour lesson every Thursday with the piano instructor.
Okay.
So usually that half-hour lesson consists of playing what she assigned me the last week. So in between lessons, I'm in a practice room and I'm practicing piano and trying to get my, fingers to do the work and trying to understand the music and being able to work with that.
And so how much practice are you putting in after that half-an-hour lesson?
So I kind of go, like I went all out with FFA. I try to go all out with music here. I try to practice at least like an hour to an hour and a half a day on trumpet. And when my lips are getting tired from playing the trumpet, I'll take breaks. And while I'm taking the break, I'll be practicing the piano.
Okay.
So usually I can practice piano about, 20 to 25 minutes a day.
Okay. Now, during high school, you were playing the trumpet. Was that in the mm-hmm. marching band? Was it a jazz band? Or how did that all work out for you in high school?
Yeah. So I played trumpet for marching band, jazz band, and concert band, and also the pep band.
Okay.
So all of those. I kind of worked with the same director, and I played all across those, and a lot of extracurricular activities like playing in a county band, and I played in an all-district band. And during the summers, a couple of years, I actually played with the state FFA band at state convention.
Very cool. Good for you.
So it's a nice way of being able to connect the two.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's really cool that you got to do that. And so you're still practicing that a lot. So what level are you at when it comes to where you're at with the trumpet? What level are you at? Are you at an expert level, or are you working so hard because you're trying to get there? I mean, where are you at now?
Oh, I feel like I'm far away from the expert level.
Okay.
If you go on YouTube, you can look up these professionals, and they just absolutely blow me away, and they make me look like I just started 2 days ago.
Oh wow.
I would, if I had to put myself somewhere, I'd probably put myself at about an intermediate level.
Okay.
I still have quite a ways to go, but I'd say I have a pretty strong foundation, and I know how to get where I need to go. It's just going to take plenty of practice and work to get where I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, very cool. So you're working hard at it. Do you think playing an instrument's going to just be a lifelong passion for you?
Yeah. I feel like playing an instrument can be you don't necessarily have to do it for an hour a day, but I feel like playing an instrument and understanding music can be a big thing for anybody. So the way that I hear music now on the radio is a lot different than I did before, because I understand music and I understand how difficult certain phrases of music can be and how impressive it is to be able to hear those. And I listen to those over and over, and I'm just absolutely blown away.
Yeah, very cool. Well, that is awesome. I love music. I would love to be able to make it myself. I've struggled, but then I faded out on practicing, and then I'll get back into it. And I'm one of those people, that's in and out of it. But I think what you're demonstrating to us all is it's consistent work that gets you somewhere, right?
Yeah. And there's sadly no shortcuts, and I really wish there were. I really wish I could wake up tomorrow and be the best. But
well, if you did, would you really feel that good about it?
I probably not.
Well,
you wouldn't be able to look back and be satisfied. So.
Yeah, I think that's true too. Well, Cody, this has been really cool. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. I think it'll be a blast to be able to teach music in high school. I think that would be a really fun way to make your living and to work every day. So I'm excited for you there. I love the fact that you've drawn all these connections between the FFA and everything else that you've been doing, especially because, you didn't come off of a farm. You're not raising hogs or whatever it may be. If I could, before we let you go, I'd love to get your advice for other students out there who are non-traditional FFA students. They don't necessarily have the ag background. Why would they want to join?
Well, there's a lot you can learn from FFA. So my life has been absolutely changed by the time that I spent in the chapter. So I was able to meet people from all across the state when I went to state convention, when I went to other conferences, and I still know people all across the state. And even when I'm here in college, I have an FFA hat that I wear every once in a while. And people will come up to me and they'll talk about, they were an FFA, and I've met people that I live with in this building. But developing as an individual is probably the biggest thing that ever happened to me. So right now, I would be shaking in my boots talking to you right now if it wasn't for FFA. Freshmen are required to do what's called the creep, and you talk in front of your class, which can be, even scarier than talking in front of a stranger. So being able to have events like that and being able to learn agriculture and, even if it's not your background, you can take something and you can run with it and you can do so much with it. Like I said, I wanted to be an agriculture teacher for a while there, but I ended up changing my mind. But if I hadn't changed my mind, I know I'd be absolutely satisfied, and I'd love the life that I'd have.
Awesome. Great advice. Cody, thank you so much for coming on today and sharing this with all of us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.